everyone, welcome back to another brand new video. I'm James Martin and I'm here to help you filmmakers not only make better movies but also help you succeed with your career. Today we're talking about how to schedule your movie. This is a way of organizing, planning out your entire shoot, not just the shoot itself, but also preparing yourself from the moment you start making the movie to the moment you finally hand in sort of the final delivery. So we're going to go through it so you have a clear idea as to what's going to happen and when. First thing we need to talk about is sort of the overall schedule. What I mean is, let's take a look at sort of like the bigger, broader sort of schedule when it comes to your production. So what you want to do is you want to reverse engineer from your final delivery. You got to start by figuring out where's your movie going, how's that going to look like, and more importantly, when do you need it by. So in that case, you want to make sure that you hand your movie in so you have it done and ready. Then once you do that, we're going to reverse engineer and figure out how much time we need, go as far back as we possibly can, all the way to the date that we want to begin. Let's work with the recent movie that we did, Becoming One of Them, which unfortunately the original deadline for that, funny enough, was actually April 1 of this year, which then had to be pushed due to you know what. For the sake of this video, let's just say April 1, 2021. That's your final due date because of a premiere, a festival, distribution, whichever. The last big major step is the post-production. That's where you're going to put the movie together. So you want to figure out, working backwards, how much time you need in post-production. Because our deadline was April 1, we actually wanted to start the editing by the beginning of December the previous year. Then of course there's the shooting area. Now, you may not have exact dates, but it's good to at least have a ballpark idea when you want to shoot. For instance, with Becoming One of Them, we knew from the very get-go that we wanted to shoot either in May or September of 2019, of the year that we were shooting. We knew we couldn't shoot in May because it wasn't going to provide us enough time for pre-production. So we said, okay, September, that's when we're going to shoot. So at least we had plenty of time to get our stuff together and to plan out. But of course, it left us a few months before we had to get into editing, which was great because we did our shooting in September. November, we ended up doing a pickup or a reshoot. And then by December, the editor had all the footage they needed to get straight into, well, the editing. This doesn't have to be set in stone, but just at least you know that, okay, maybe the month of September, that's when we're shooting. And then as you start planning out the exact dates of everything, which is our next step, then you might decide like, okay, so there's one weekend in September that we'll start shooting. And then of course there's, well, pre-production. So then it goes essentially all the way to your shoot and as far back as you possibly need. So give yourself plenty of time, at least a few months if possible. That's really going to give you just more than enough time to get all your costumes, your art, your equipment, your casting done, your location scouts, all the planning that you can possibly do. You see how we can really plan out? And so now, being what, August of 2020, now you have that several months where you can either start planning, get money, or get other people involved and just slowly start putting everything together. So you see how that gives you a lot of ideas as to when you can start, how much time you have, and it also helps you relax. So you know, like, okay, so I have this window to work in, and it helps your crew as well. Then you know, okay, we have this much time to start putting everything together. Now we want to go into specific dates. So now that we know the rough idea with our delivery, post-production, production, and pre-production, now we want to gradually start putting some actual dates down on the calendar. So like some things you want to start thinking about are, when are meetings? You may not be able to plan out necessarily all the meetings, but at least plan out a few. But at least start putting together, like maybe you want to start off with the first meeting. This is where you and the entire crew get together and just start brainstorming and just get questions out there, start answering questions, and just figure out, okay, where do we want to go from this? And then from there, you can figure out, okay, we want to have another meeting that just talks about art, or another meeting that just talks about the cinematography. You want to think about your location scout, but at some point you can start thinking about like, okay, when do we want to start getting locations, figure out where we want to shoot, schedule when you want to start casting. Ideally start casting as soon as possible. Get those actors locked ASAP. So figure out exactly what month or period of time you want to start casting. Casting could take anywhere from a matter of days, weeks, even months. Try and get this done as soon as reasonably possible. Don't wait to the last minute, otherwise you're going to be chasing actors quite literally the day before your shoot. And trust me, that is not fun, and I've been there before. Start figuring out your tech scouts. This is where once you have locations locked, this is usually going to be like a few days, maybe within a week before your shoot. Everyone goes back to that location and starts planning out, okay, what shots are we using? Where do we want to start putting food, actors holding, all that kind of stuff? Remember our floor plan, figure out logistics, all sorts of things. And it gives everyone a reminder as to, okay, this is the location we're working with. How can we make this work? Our rehearsals. This is where the director is going to work with the cast, start blocking out scenes, make sure everyone's on the same page. This is also a great opportunity to bring in your production designer or costumes, whoever's working that out, and then start doing a costume fitting, make sure the costumes actually fit. You could do photo shoots for marketing purposes. There's so many different ways you can utilize this, but if the director has a chance to work with the actors and do a rehearsal and start walking through what the movie is going to do, then it's really going to help you on the shoot. Again, the more preparation you do ahead of time, the less you have to do on the shoot, which means when you come to the shoot day, everyone just goes in, knows exactly what's happening, and we can start getting stuff done. Then of course there's the production, the shoot dates itself. Of course, you're going to start finalizing when exactly you want to start shooting. This is going to be up to your AD to start figuring out the exact schedule of that day, whether it's from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., whichever. There might be days where you just need a break. There might be times where everyone comes in on one day with an early call time, all the way up to maybe it's like a 12-hour, 13-hour day type thing. And then the next day, everyone can sleep in just a little bit. So instead of coming in first thing in the morning, everyone shows up at 10 a.m., for instance. That way everyone gets a little bit of sleep and everyone's well rested for the second day. And then of course, post-production, again, be reasonable. Make sure that you try and give everyone as much time as possible. When it came to becoming one of them, usually everyone that worked on the project either worked for either 1 to 3 months. Now this all varied because of the whole thing going on, but editing, I gave editing 2 months, and that was more than enough time, right? With visual effects, you might need a little bit more time. Grading took several months. Music took 1 month. Start scheduling out when they can start, and also start figuring out when certain things can be done by. So when it comes to editing, you're not just simply doing one edit or one solid job and then that's it, job's done. When you're editing, you're going to do different passes. There's an assembled cut, there's a rough cut, there's a fine cut, and then there's the lock cut, which is the finished edit and it's all done. Same with sound effects. Get that music together, start fixing it, start molding it, and then eventually it's going to get to a locked. So you want to make sure you're prepared to have, okay, maybe at the end of this week, we have this version done. Then the end of the second week, we have another version done, etc., etc., etc. Figure out how much time everyone's going to need. And then of course, when it comes to marketing and distribution, it's really straightforward, where let's say you're trying to get into film festivals, know exactly what the film festival deadlines are. I would recommend trying to get your movie in as soon as possible because it's cheaper. Premieres, make sure you know exactly the dates for your premieres. If you're doing a DVD release, know the exact dates for that. So really at the end of the day, just being as organized as possible, really trying to figure out when everything is going to take place will really help you to stay organized, stay on track, and make sure that everything leads up to the final delivery in a very professional and organized manner. If this video helped you out, please smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe because I got weekly videos coming out. Comment below what was the most helpful tip you took away from this. So good luck with your projects, and I will see you next time.